it. Okie dokie. Um, so I'll just do a little introduction, pass you on to Georgia, and then how we found you, and then we'll pass over to you, Campbell. So, for those that can't make it today, I am Hannah. I'm the head of patient welfare and support here at the AKU Society in the UK. And my main role is to support our patients here in the UK, and I do accompany our patients. I've said patients about 5 times in about 30 seconds, but I take our patients to to the hospital for their yearly checkups that they go to. And in fact, I'll just tell you how I met Campbell and then we'll go on to Georgia. But I was there in February with our February group, and one of the taxi rides home after appointments, we had the lovely Campbell as our taxi driver who told us his story, and it just stuck with both myself and the patient. And it was actually the patient who said he would be really good to come and talk to AKU patients. So if there's ever a chance that we can get him, let's have him come along. So we were talking about what we could do for this week, and I said to Georgia, "There's a gentleman we need to hear from." So that's how we came about. Just a chance meeting, serendipity one day in a taxi, and it was amazing. It stuck with me. So hopefully you guys will feel the same. I'll just pass over to Georgia now as well to introduce herself.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name's Georgia. I'm the AKU Society's Communications Officer. So I've been responsible for all the newsletters and emails you've been getting, and social media posts, and I'll be doing some blogs as well. There's actually a couple coming up this week, which is quite exciting. And yeah, I'm really happy to be involved in this self-care campaign and to listen to today's talk. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Fantastic. So if we hand over to you, Campbell, and you can tell us a little bit more about who you are and what your story is and how you've got into what you're doing now, that would be really great.
No problem at all. Well, first of all, good afternoon to everybody who's online at the moment. We'll see the video later on in life, later on in the day, or later on in the week. Uh, Also, thank you to AKU Society for asking me to come and do this today. It's a privilege to do it for you guys, and I feel very honoured and privileged. Thank you. Let me introduce myself to you again. My name is Campbell Gillespie. I'm 61 years of age, and I come from Prescott, just outside Liverpool. But you'll gather by my dulcet tones that I'm not a native of these parts. A comfortable village 10 miles north of Glasgow. Moved down here in 2000 and I've been here 25 years. I was a very good athlete. Sport was my life. Didn't know anything about it till I was 12 years of age and went to high school. And the Mr. Dingwall, the PE teacher, sent us in our very first. If you remember your first day at high school, you get your perfect whites on, your white socks, your brand new Adidas kick training shoes, everything's white. And Mr. Dingwall said, "Right, all of you, twice round the cross country course, which had mud that deep." So we all set off, 40 of us, and we did 2 laps, and I was finished and showered, and the second man hadn't finished, and we all kind of went, "Oh yeah, something's going on here, you know." So Mr. Dingle said, "Did you cheat, Gillespie?" I said, "I did not, sir." Because he had the binoculars, so he was checking. They realised that I'd done the course very well, so he entered me for the Scottish Schoolboys Cross Country Championships. About 2 weeks later, I hadn't done any running in my life. Do you know what I mean? Running to me was just run playing football or run to the ice cream van. That's all you did, you know. And I finished fifth out of 1,000 competitors. And he went, "Geez, I've got one here, you know." So sport became my life, but I changed from running. I became a cyclist, a very good cyclist. Did some good, rode for the Scottish B squad in a couple of races. Uh, Gaelic for Scotland is called Alba, and I rode for the Alba team in the Girvan 3 day big race, that type of thing, you know. But I then gave up the cycling because I was doing a 40-hour week, and people were, their mum and dads were helping them train, not they didn't have to work. The mum and dads paid for them, you know, and it was just an unfair sport, I felt. So I gave that up, took up triathlons, became a very, very good triathlete. My first triathlon was 100 people, and I can swim like a drowning duck. I'm dreadful at it, you know. So I came out of the pool 99th out of 100. 99th out of 100. I was in tears, said I'm going to quit. And my sister and her boyfriend, my family were all there. They said, do a lap. You swam like 30 lengths, then you cycled 5, 10 mile laps, and then run one 10 mile lap. So I came out of the pool and they got me to go on the bike, and I caught a few people, and I kind of went, wait a minute. And become being a top cyclist, I kind of got into the zone and went, oh, well, a bit of this. So after the first lap, I'd caught about 20 people, then about 15 the second, 20 the second. So I came out of the pool, I came out of the running stage. I was 17th, and I finished second. And the guy who won it was a guy called David Mepham in the Scottish Development Squad. And his coach came up to me and said, you're the guy that's finished second, aren't you? I said, yes, I am. He said, listen, son, he said, if you could swim, he said, you'd have taken that field apart. Even my man, he's in the Scottish squad, so think about it. So I improved my swimming, became a very good triathlete. And then I moved down to Liverpool in 2000. You don't want to know the reasons why. It's another story, another day. But obviously women are involved, I should say, you know. But I moved down in 2000 and running for Liverpool Running Club, and I was doing some really seriously good times. I could run a marathon in 2 hours 45 minutes. I could run a half marathon in 72 minutes. I was doing about 80 to 100 miles a week in training. So that gives you a background of what I'm going to tell you now, because it'll all countermind each other once it gets going here. I was being a very good athlete. I was training doing 100 miles a week, and then August the 10th, 2003, Sunday morning, 8 a.m., 70 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. I was doing a training session in the park, and by 8:30 that morning, I'm pronounced clinically dead at the scene. I got hit in the head by 1,000,000 volts of lightning from the sky. No way of getting around it. No way of trying to make it sound what it is, but it is. It happened. I got struck in the head by 1,000,000 volts of lightning. The lightning hit me in the head, travelled down to my chain, blew my crucifix off me. I'll show you my chain later on. I was then so fit, it sent my leg muscles into spasm, and my leg muscles then sent me 15 feet into the air. I then landed face first in the concrete. I was dead before I hit the concrete, you know, so it was a bit of a situation. Now, the chain the lightning went for, this is the bit you're going to laugh at. I can show you it all. It's inside me. The chain is vaporized inside my neck. Can you see it? Can you see the V? The chain is inside me. That's not a burn mark. That's the actual chain. It's vaporized inside my neck. It's lightning 6 times hotter than the sun. So what can I say? I'm dead. I'm gone. I'm off to heaven. I'm out of here, you know. But so the two people I was running with that morning, Ray and Norman. Norman, my physiotherapist. Ray get blown onto his face. Norman get blown onto his backside. And he looked up and kind of went, "What's he doing? I'm 15 feet in the air." He said my presentation was perfect. My feet and hands were all tucked in perfectly. Then there was the sound of my face hitting the concrete. It was like a knife going through cabbage, that kind of crack you get, that kind of, you know. So every bone in my face is smashed. That's it. I'm gone. So I'm off to heaven. But Norman wasn't having it. He rolled me over. This this really quite a really fast thunderstorm came down, and everything was just absolutely drenched. I'm lying in a deep puddle, and I'm drowning. So Norman turned me over, and I wasn't breathing. I was blue, and there was no heart pulse at all, nothing at all. So Norman couldn't give me mouth to mouth because I had no mouth to give mouth to mouth to. My face was destroyed. So Norman being Norman stood in my chest and broke my ribs. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? He did it to try and get to my solar plexus to punch them as hard as he could, you know? Don't you die in me, you breathe. And he punched me that hard. He brought the teeth and the blood out of my lungs. It's incredible. I mean, it's just I can see you, Georgia, looking this has got to be absolute rubbish because it's made up nonsense. I wish it was a lie, it'd be a fantastic lie, but it's all true. So Ray, the other friend I was with, he had ran for help, and he got a set of houses about 2,000 yards away from him, and he's banging all the doors. Nobody would answer him. Who's going to answer a lunatic at 8:30 on a Sunday morning, you know? So he was banging all the doors, and eventually his daughter, Ray's daughter, Georgia, her friend, mum and dad, stayed in one of the houses, and they opened the door and they said, "What's wrong, Ray?" And Ray he'd lost all his breath. He just went, "Runner, lightning struck." That's all he could say, you know. So the mother of George's friend phoned an ambulance. It took them 15 minutes to get to me. Ray had the presence of mind to wait at the gate, the ambulance to come up to him, and he then ran back into the ambulance with the ambulance following him. Now you should know where it happened, Rimrose Valley Park in Liverpool. The gates to the park are never, ever, ever open at that time in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. Never, they don't open till lunchtime, you know. That morning somebody had opened them. That probably saved my life, you know, along with something else I'll explain to you. So the paramedics, I know everybody personally, I've done that many television shows and such like, you know. The paramedics, Mike Pye and his colleague Chris, if the gates hadn't been open, it was a 20-minute run with a trolley that died waiting on them, you know. They got the ambulance right up to me. And when they're driving up to me, they looked at each other and said, "This guy's dead." Because I was black as the ace of spades, you know. And Norman was screaming at them. Norman was trying to keep me alive. He's screaming at them, "He's just alive. He's just alive." So they got to me, and I was just alive. And they were going to get me in the ambulance, but I wasn't breathing properly. So they had to give me a tracheotomy. I hope you know what a tracheotomy is. They cut my throat. Tracheotomy is somewhere. Trachy's there, isn't trachea there? Yeah. They cut my throat apart to keep me alive. Unfortunately, they nicked my voice box when they were doing the tracheotomy. So I've had to learn to talk again. I've mastered that one very well, you know. But so they were taking me to the Royal in Liverpool. Ray came with me, and Norman to run back to the gym. Norman's wife, Kay, and Lynn, Ray's wife, they were doing a training session in the gym. And Norman ran back, covered in blood, you know what I mean? They had to work out what was happening to the rest of them, you know. But so they were taking me to the Royal, and Mike Pye, the head paramedic, it was in Mike Pye and his colleague Chris were working that day, had me in the back. Mike realised that I had the worst facial injuries he'd ever seen in his life. So he diverted from the Royal and went to Fazakerley, which probably saved my life as well, you know, because Fazakerley is one of the world leaders in head trauma. And she's on the radio, and Dr. Tristan Elkin, who's now Professor Tristan Elkin, Dr. Tristan Elkin was on triage that morning, you know, and they were playing cards and eating toast and drinking coffee. And Mike Pye came on the radio and says, "Tristan," he says, "I'm bringing in this guy, he's been struck by lightning." And Tristan went, "Shut up, mate, you're talking a load of rubbish." He said, "I'm telling you," said, "this guy's a real mess. We've had to keep bringing him back." So Tristan got into action, got all the team organised and all the things you do. And by the time they got me there was like 20 people all waiting for me and such like, you know. So they got me in, and I should tell you, the important bit I've missed out is I kept getting into cardiac arrest in the ambulance, you know what I mean? So they kept having to CPR me and bring me back, you know. So they got me in, and they lay me down on the trolley, and every time they lay me down, I went into cardiac arrest. So they realised pretty quickly there's something in his throat that's stopping him breathing. So they had to treat me sitting up. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm gone. And they're treating me sitting up. So eventually they lay me down, and I was breathing. And very quickly they had to say, "Where's his mum and dad?" Do you know what I mean? That's how serious it was. "Where's his mum and dad?" They all basically thought I was going to die pretty quickly. So where's your mum and dad? So they got my number through my telephone in the gym, and they phoned my parents. And my dad's a broad, big Glaswegian guy. Do you know what I mean? So the phone went about 9 o'clock in the morning. Is that Mr. Gillespie? And my dad went, "Speaking." And he said, "This is exactly intensive care here." And my dad went, "Shut up, put the phone down." So the phone rings back again. He thought it was a wind up. So the phone rings back again. And he said, "Mr. Gillespie, don't put the phone down." So my dad says, "Who are you?" He said, "This is exactly intensive care department. Do you have a son by the name of Campbell?" My dad froze and went, "Yes." He said, "Why?" He said, "He's been in a very, very serious incident. You need to get here. Where do you live?" Mum and dad said, "Glasgow." And there was a silence, and they went, "Leave now." So without packing a pair of underpants between them, they just got in the car, filled it up with fuel, 100 miles an hour outside lane. My mother's not a good traveller, do you know what I mean? She just shut her eyes and prayed that I'd be alive, you know? So they get stopped for speeding at services at Fort Services in Lancaster. They get stopped for speeding, and the policeman's like, put the whip. So do you know what speed you were tracked? Then he stopped straight away and said, "What's wrong?" And they told him what they knew. They hadn't told him I'd been struck by lightning over the telephone. They might have had a heart attack and died. So he said, hold on. He then went back to his squad car, got onto his headquarters, who contacted Fazakli, who confirmed it. You ready for this guy? This stuns me to this day. They then gave them a 2-car blue light police escort from Lancaster to Fazakli Hospital. A magnificent gesture. They got out the car. They then gave them a kiss and a hug and said, "We wish you all the best." The intensive care team, some of them were waiting downstairs from me, and they rushed them up the stairs to the intensive care department. Now, my mother, she's very religious, my mother. She she went to the intensive care chapel, did a bit with God, but my dad came in. There's no one to help him. There's an old gentleman passing away. Sadly, the gentleman passed away. There was no one to help him. So he seen this priest giving someone the last rites, and he said, "I'm going to have to ask him." So he said, "Father," he said, "I'm so sorry to bother you." He said, "I'm looking for my son, Campbell Gillespie." He said, "You Mr. Gillespie?" He said, "I'm here." He says, "This your son here. I'm giving him the last rites." My dad looked down and said, "Sorry, Father, that's not my son. I had no face. My face was destroyed." Do you know what I mean? You know? So my dad then he said, "This is your son. I'm sorry." So this is your son. My dad grabbed my hand. He screams, "Don't you die. You're a Gillespie. You fight." And he swears blind that I squeezed his hand. You know what I mean? But so then he went back out. My mother came out to the intensive care chapel and said, "How bad is it?" He said, "It's bad because he's burnt. It's burnt. It's a black as spit as a spade. Black as a spade." You know what I mean? So my mother came in and I was with 20 machines keeping me alive, you know what I mean? But all she could see was her son, and he was fighting for his life, do you know what I mean? So they're then taken into what's called the room of death, in the intensive care chapel, in the intensive care department, where you're told bad news, you know? And they said, "Mr. and Mrs. Gillespie," mum and dad were saying, "What's happened to him?" They said, "We don't know how to tell you, just going to tell you straight down the line. Campbell's been struck in the head by a bolt of lightning, he's going to die." My dad went, "F off." Do you know what I mean? Talking rubbish. He said he's been struck by a bolt of lightning. He said he should be dead already. The only thing we can tell you is he an athlete of any kind? Mum and Dad said international standards since he was 12. And they said, as far as we can see, that boy's alive purely and simply because he's got the heart and lungs of a buffalo. So there you go. So within about 6 hours, the intensive care waiting room was rammed with everybody. People drove up from London, Glasgow, Manchester, Wales. Everybody was rammed. You know what I mean? And there was a nurse who was working in intensive care. And my mum and dad called her Nurse Maggie, an Irish woman. She had 8 kids, for Christ's sake, 8 kids. And she used to work in intensive care chapel, so the intensive care department, for peace and quiet, take away from them all. Do you know what I mean? So everybody's saying their goodbyes to me and all that. And uh, everybody kept crying, you know what I mean? So she grabbed everybody, took everybody into the intensive care waiting room. She said, "Listen," she said, "I believe Campbell can hear you. The next person I catch crying in front of him, I'll kick you up the arse." Do you know what I mean? So anyway, so missing out major bits. They expected me to die on the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. On the Thursday and Friday, I started fighting back. On the Saturday, I came out of the coma. On the Monday, I had 14 hours face reconstruction, and I was out that Friday. That's not bad to be out from last night and Friday. I should tell you, I'm in the coma ready to check out. I sat down with God with a cup of tea. As clear as you guys are in front of me right now, I sat down with God with a cup of tea. So he said, "I've got a surprise for you, Campbell." And I looked round, there's my gran and granddad, who were my absolute idols when I was young, you know what I mean? So I said, "I'm sorry, Grandad." And he said, "It's not your fault, son." He said, "It's that Mother Nature. She's a bitch." So we sat down with a cup of tea. My gran poured best china. We all had a hobnob chocolate biscuit. We sat and chatted for an hour. And then God said, "Time to decide, guys. Are we going to take Campbell? Or are we going to send him back?" And my grandparents looks up to God and says, "Please, Lord, don't take our grandson. It's not his time to go." And in real life, I opened my eyes out the coma. It's just nonsense. I laugh at it to this day because it'd be the best lie you'd ever hear in your life. So It's going to be 22 years to the day on August the 10th, 2025. It's going to be 22 years today, and it has been and still is the hardest fight of my life. That's why Hannah's got me on here, friends, to basically tell you no matter what you've got, what illnesses you have, or anything, you must never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. Even when the fat lady sings, never give up. And even if she does sing, still never give up. You must fight and fight and fight. I have had the most one way horrendous 22 years of my life. I can't walk properly. I walk with two sticks. I'm having my left leg amputated soon, having my right hip replaced. I've got a new face. I've got 34 plates, new eye sockets, new jaws, new teeth, new lips, new nose, new mouth. But I've never given up, bar one time. I've never given up. The motivation, the inspiration I have is just, it's endless. It's just in a bottle and it keeps bursting out. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel as though I've been put back on the planet for two reasons. I'll tell you one reason just now, to motivate and inspire people. You know what I mean? To never, ever, ever give up. Now, things that have come out in the last 22 years, I could say it's been the most horrendous 22 years, but I could also say it's been the most fantastic 22 years. The biggest thing is I'm here 4 billion to 1, not 4 million, 4 billion to 1. Wish I put a pound on myself at the betting shop before it happened, you know? Next thing is I can't have any children. I'm sterile. I've got massive internal injuries. And I met my ex-wife. She was 40 by her sell-by date. I'm 44. I'm a Jaffa. I'm seedless. And she's pregnant in 4 weeks. Could you make this up? I've now got a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old who do drive me insane. But I'd die for them in a minute. But I'd also sell it for 10 pence on eBay. The children's mother, she's dead now. She was an alcoholic. She died. And I'm remarried to a gorgeous girl, Christine, who's sitting here next to me, cringing because she's heard this story 100 times. Can we do the motivational speaking a lot, you know? And she's heard it. She has to help me because I can't go up and downstairs and things like that, you know? But it just has been the hardest fight of my life. Do you know what I mean? The only one time I almost gave up was, and can I ask you to remember the date I'm going to tell you? The 1st of February 2004 was the day they told me I was sterile. I was also disabled and I'd started putting weight on. I was 10.5 stone when it happened. And to have your face be reconstructed and everything, your life changed in a trillisecond, it was too much for me. So I went to the Runcorn Bridge. For those of you who live far away, that's going through the River Mersey, Liverpool. It's the Runcorn Bridge across. And I decided I was going to end it all. There was no point in continuing. I just, from being a top athlete, top of my game, I was a good looking lad. The girls used to ask me out on dates, you know what I mean? I was a good looking boy. To have it all changed in a millisecond, I couldn't handle it. So at 2 o'clock in the morning on the 1st of February 2004, I went to the Runcorn Bridge and I tried to clamber up. I was walking with two sticks and I tried to clamber up the best I could over the edge, and I just held on and I just went, I may as well just do this. Nobody's going to want me now. And I can only describe I had, it was like an epiphany. I don't know if that's the right word I'm using. I had this warm comfort blanket just came over me. You know what I mean? I just thought, wait a minute, you're one of two people in the world to survive and you're going to take your own life. Are you crazy? Is that how you're going to repay God? So I climbed back down and I hobbled back to the car, which is parked in Runcorn Station. The most positive, pain in the ass guy you could meet in your life. Do you know what I mean? So that's the two reasons I feel I've been put back on the planet. One, to have my children, and two, to inspire people. Do you know what I mean? Now, it's just the inspiration that I get from it. Do you know what I mean? To help people. I mean, I need to tell you as well, I've just written a book. It's called The Lightening Man. You get it on Amazon. That's the front, that's the back. I'm going to read to you what it says in the front because it's awe-inspiring. On Sunday morning, 10th of August 2003, Campbell Gillespie, a keen long-distance athlete, was out running with two friends from his local running club when literally out of the blue, he took a direct lightning strike to the head. He was blasted 15 feet into the air and was dead by the time he hit the ground moments later. If not for his running companion, Norman, who broke Campbell's ribs in a desperate effort to save his life, Campbell would not be alive today. He suffered catastrophic life-changing injuries and spent painful years recovering, but throughout it all, Campbell refused to give up. Here he tells his incredible story of his fight to recover. If ever there was an inspirational story, this is it. This book can change your life. It's motivational, it's inspirational, it's life-changing. Lightning Man on search engine in Amazon. But people stop being in the street, being on holiday. People have bought the books. You know what I mean? When you're on holiday, it's good. They tend to buy you drink as well, which is very good. You know what I mean? You buy your drink. Well, but it's as I said, I can waffle on for hours with this nonsense. But I think you've just about had enough. You've had 20 minutes of it. I think that's more than enough. But as I said, I thank the AKU Society for having me on to have a little chat with you all, and I hope you get some inspiration from it.
Thank you so much, Campbell. It was still just as amazing the second time round. But there was one thing that I remember that you shared with me about the date in February. There was a
Oh,
relevance
I finished
there.
it February, didn't finish it.
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry. It was
I
the
remember
10th.
though. So it did me. I was listening that day because I remember what you
Sorry,
told
August
me.
the 10th, 2004. I tried to commit suicide. Sorry, it's not August, February. I get confused with my dates. February the 1st, 2004. I tried to commit suicide, yeah. My daughter was born on the 1st of February 2010, the same day. It's just ridiculous. The things that link up together are just, I mean, I could waffle on for hours to you guys and tell you things you wouldn't believe. They're so ridiculous. I'm afraid it's all true. It's all true. So I struggle with my health now badly. My wife helps me. I struggle with my health badly. Like I'm deaf in the right ear, like 50% in the left. My hands don't work. That hand works perfectly, yeah. That hand's more or less frozen. I've got lots of things to do on about it, but I'm not interested in your sympathy, guys. I'm not interested in saying that's a shame. I'm not interested. I just keep thinking positive every day. Some days I can't get out of bed, it's that bad. You know what I mean? But I'm here and I'm breathing. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got two gorgeous kids. I am what you would call the luckiest guy in the world.
Absolutely. I'm just so grateful that you did come along today, Campbell, because I think for those that are here and also for those that do watch this after the fact, it's a story that you don't come across often. And I think it's so important, like as this is self-care for Rare Week, that's why it sort of fits so well into that to look after yourself. And as you said, your sort of motivation and positivity to just not give up is so incredible. I just wanted to just double check, was there anybody as well, yourself, Georgia, but is there anybody that wants to ask Campbell anything while we've got him, or for him to elaborate any further, or anything else that's come from that you want to ask him while we have him here at all? There's no pressure to. I just wanted to give you the chance if you did want to.
I'll tell you one before, if anybody wants to ask me any questions. The one I get asked all the times, what did it feel like to get struck in the head? So I just say to everybody, well, quite frankly, it was a bit of a shock. Then I'll say I was very negative, now I'm positive. But the best one seems to be when I change a light bulb. I can always check it before I put it in. Really, really? No. But if it inspires anybody, do you know what I mean? Because as I keep saying, guys, you must never, ever, ever, ever give up. When everything looks bleak, there's always hope. You fight, you can't fight anymore, and then you fight again. And that's why I'm here. If I wasn't such a stubborn bugger to die, I wouldn't be here. I'd be dead 22 years this August. We go out and we celebrate. My wife and I go out on the 10th of August. We go out and we'll have something to eat, get a little bit squiffy on the wine or such like, and I toast everybody, the paramedics, my parents. I mean, my parents, they spent 4 months. I had to learn to walk again, talk again, feed myself again, everything. To do everything from scratch. They were sending me to a rehabilitation home in Chester to recover. My mum said, you send her there, he'll die, because she knew hospitals scared the hell out of me, do you know what I mean? So they got me home. And the day they got me home, we stayed in a cul-de-sac. We couldn't get in the cul-de-sac. The media were everywhere, and it was just You know, it's just, I mean, I did a talk about 8 weeks ago for a company in Australia by satellite. Didn't send me there, unfortunately. And it was the 10 most unique accidents in the world. And who's number one? But
Amazing.
as I say, my statement is, and I'll say it to the day I die, simply shut up and get on with it. That's how I've got through it. I know it's a Glaswegian way of saying it, but shut up and get on with it, Campbell. No time for sympathy.
Thank you so much, Campbell. Honestly, it's so. I still feel the same way I did in the taxi that day. So it's amazing. Just to check, was there anybody? Did anybody have any comments at all?
I think
Thank you
everybody's blown
for
away by
Stace?
it.
this is Stacy. I just wanted to say thank you for sharing your story. It's
You're welcome.
obviously amazing, obviously a miracle.
The other guy who's alive, Stacey, lives in Florida. He was in a coma for a month. There's two of us alive, being hit in the head. His name's Mike Utley. He was in a coma for a month. He wasn't an athlete, you know, but he was playing golf. Who would hold on to a golf club when there's lightning in the air? Personally, but you know what I mean. But for me, it was a fine gold chain, which I'll carry to the day I die. But we've done television programs and documentaries and things like that, you know. And so he's in your part of the world anyway. But
Yeah.
two of us alive. Everyone else who's been hit. If you remember last summer, you might remember that, guys, in the UK, a little boy in Blackpool playing football last summer, Jordan Banks, 9 years of age. Mother Nature killed him at 9 years of age. Mother Nature is a cow. She's an absolute cow, and she's not getting Campbell Gillespie, though it was rather close, you know. But I'm hearing and breathing. Shut up and get on with it.
Go up and get on with it.
That's it.
Okay, well, if there's no other comments, thank you so much for coming along, Campbell. This is going to be such a great resource
You're welcome, guys.
for
You're
us
welcome again.
to have and to share across our, as I said, our
If you need
socials so
me
that other
again, you
people
need me to
can.
go face to face or anything like that, you can ask me. It's not a problem
Thank
at
you.
all.
That's honestly because we do face-to-face events as well. So that might be something that we can get back in touch with you on if we
Not a
do
problem
one
at
of
all.
those as
Not a
well.
problem at all. You're
But
more than welcome, guys.
But thank you so much, and thank you to those that took the time to come today as well. It's lovely to have people from all around the world all together. I think that's the one good thing to come out of COVID is that we've all learned to Zoom and do things virtually. So it's so lovely to have everybody here. And we've got other things going out this week to do with self-care for Rare, and do keep your eyes peeled because Georgia and I have got an awareness events calendar now. So each month we'll be putting things on. So there could be more sessions like this coming your way. So do keep an eye on your inboxes because we'll be sharing things, and of course across our social media platforms and things like that. And I just want to say have a good rest of the day and evening to those who've still got evening, and day to those that have still got daytime and evening. And take care of yourselves.
Take care, Hannah.
Thank you,
Thanks everyone
Hannah.
for listening to
Thank,
me. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.